faith.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll cement this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we discuss film, TV, and all things Hollywood. I'm your host, Christian, excuse me, and I'm joined by my co-host, Devin. And today we are going to be reviewing the What If episode 7, which is titled, What If Thor Was an Only Child?
Were an only child.
See, I want to give myself a nice little cheer for that one. But yes, episode 7, What If Thor Were an Only Child? And as always, as I said, Devin's here with me. As always, he's always here. Devin, how are you doing today? Feeling good?
It's a good day. We just got done with our Dear Evan Hansen review, got some good insight and some knowledge from Jacob, and we're rolling.
Yeah, definitely check out Jacob's work over on musiccitydrivein.com, as well as the rest of the other team, including my own. I have a few new articles up there that are at the ready, including Doom Patrol Season 3 and Star Wars Visions. And if you don't like reading, you can always check out our review here on the podcast, where we covered Star Wars Visions and we covered the 2021 Emmy Awards. And if you like to do both, hey, more power to you. Just depends. I like to try to cover as many mediums as I possibly can. But before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our show over on podcast platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Stop on by over to Instagram and Twitter at Film Optix. That is Optix with an X. Devin, are you ready to get into this What If episode? I feel like
I am ready.
You're ready? All right. So we're going to start.
This was a fun one.
This really was. It was nice change of pace, because I feel like a lot of things have been very heavy as of late. But before I spoil too much, we'll be right back with our What If episode 7 review after this short break.
Space. Time. Reality. It's more than a linear path. It's a prism of endless possibility.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
We finally got the Thor episode.
Finally. And you know what? This episode has been, it was a breath of fresh air, as I mentioned a little bit before. It was nice to just have that fun, relaxing kind of Ant-Man style type comedy episode in the series, because I feel like with every single episode we've gotten so far, it's been very not dark and gritty, but just more on the serious, and the tonal side has been more of just like, heavy stuff that they've been kind of tackling as of late. But this one, episode 7, it's a nice breath of fresh air. But as always, we're going to be getting into our initial reactions first, and then getting into our spoilers section here for you guys. So whenever you hear this little bad boy, that means we're going to be getting into our spoiler section. So again, it's a nice little Metal Gear Solid spoiler sound for you guys. But I'm going to pass it over to Devin so he can give his initial thoughts on What If episode 7.
Yeah, like I said before, this was definitely a fun one. Always love seeing Thor on the screen, even though he's got those blonde eyebrows that I thought we were done with. But it makes sense for the timing of everything. Thor is a character. I love his redemptive kind of arc that he's been on, because his first 2 movies, not great. I'd say Thor: Dark World is probably widely renowned as the worst MCU movie.
Really?
I feel like that's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like that's fair. What would be worse?
I was going to say The Incredible Hulk, but I kind of like that one just a little bit more. Probably Thor: The Dark World. How do you feel about Thor in Age of Ultron? You feel like that's when his resurgence started, or do you think it was just Thor Ragnarok 100%?
Yeah, I think it was mostly Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel
also it's nice to have Jane Foster back in here too, because she didn't really have a lot to work with in the first two movies. So it's nice for her, because especially looking forward to Thor: Love and Thunder when that comes out, because she's going to have a big role in that.
Yeah. I mean, the cast for this episode, it's huge. You know, we have Tom Hiddleston, we have Chris Hemsworth, we have Natalie Portman, excuse me, we have Darcy coming back as well.
Daddy Goldblum.
Yeah, and Daddy Goldblum, he's in there as well. Jeff Goldblum, and I believe was that Brie Larson as Captain Marvel?
It was not.
It was not.
Alexandra Daniels.
Could have fooled me, honestly. I had no clue, and honestly, just Karen Gillian's in it as well. Pretty much the entire MCU cast is in this one, give or take a few. So it was nice to hear a lot of familiar voices, and like we've been saying, they've been using a lot of the likenesses of these characters from the MCU. I'm not sure.
It felt like for this one, it felt a little off, like the female character specifically. Like if you asked me who Jane Foster was in this one, I would not say Natalie Portman. Just did not sound like
it.
Just looked generic.
Yeah, Darcy looked more like her for Kat Dennings than kind of sort of, but yeah, I do. It's in Colby Smulders as well as Maria Hill. Definitely got more so the haircut right, but I think it's all about the voices. But it was a pretty fun episode. We find Thor pretty much what the episode says. What if Thor were an only child, and
what if Thor was never humbled by an annoying Loki brother?
And I really like that dynamic between them, because it really shows that.
It shows that they still become like besties.
Yeah, it's great, because it's the way how they portray Loki. He was given back to the Frost Giants, so he's like this big
He's a frost giant.
Yeah. He's a frost giant, kind of has a little bit more of the hulky matter. And Taika Waititi is in this as well as Korg for a little bit here or there. So that was really, really awesome. But
just a tad.
Yeah, just a tad. Nothing too crazy. I was hoping he had like maybe a few seconds to himself. I mean, kind of does, but when Taika's there, you're always looking like, okay, what are they going to have him do overall? But I thought it was a nice little kind of like cat and mouse type episode that we got here.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting dynamic, because I guess we can get into spoilers here.
Yeah, so before we go any further, excuse me, that is your first spoiler warning again. That is your second spoiler warning for What If episode 7. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, come back and listen to the rest of the episode. Go ahead, Devin.
Yeah, it's just interesting, because one of the real world debates that is most popular for the MCU is Thor versus Captain Marvel, because everyone's always trying to figure out who the most powerful character is. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely people on both sides, and it's cool that the show kind of takes a chance at portraying what that fight could actually be like.
Yeah,
seemed kind of even, but Captain Marvel is also holding back punches, like she mentioned, because her punches are nukes, so she couldn't really nuke the planet.
Right.
So, and I will also say this version of Thor might be not at his most powerful, because he doesn't have the same life experiences or the same wit and just knowledge that Thor has currently.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
but it definitely seems like they're leaning towards Captain Marvel being the winner.
Yeah, I felt that as well. And like you said, Devin, it feels like, he doesn't have like the same training experience as he would from the Thor that we know, or maybe he has at least 40% of it, because him being a god, he kind of just leans.
Not smart enough to get rid of those blonde eyebrows yet.
Exactly, or the hair. I kind of miss the hair.
The short hair is so much cooler.
Oh, come on! I was like, it was a nice little callback to OG Thor, but he kind of leans on the fact that, I'm just a god. I can do whatever I want. Like, obviously, I'm sure him being born essentially a god, definitely he has his power set, but expanding on that not entirely sure because it seems that he's using the same party tricks over and over again. So that was pretty interesting. I'm trying to think what else. Howard the Duck makes a nice little appearance.
Howard the Duck marries
Kat Dennings.
Darcy Lewis.
Darcy Lewis. That was very
That was fun.
They're in Vegas. Yeah. Yeah, Thor comes to Vegas. It's like right off the bat after Odin goes into his sleep mode. His Odin's in sleep.
Yeah.
So
There's honestly not too much to dive into for this episode. It's kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
As far as story goes, I wouldn't say it's the strongest amongst the rest of the season, but I do think the ending might be the best so far. The ending cliffhanger that we got.
What was it? It was oh yeah, as soon as
the Infinity Gauntlet Ultron Vision guy shows up.
So I wonder if the next one is going to be more so of dealing with Ultron, because we never got to see Ultron inside of Vision's body, technically.
Yeah, because we've been wondering these past few weeks if all of these episodes will be related in some way and if the characters will come together for a common cause. Well, I think we just got that common cause right there.
I think so.
We're gonna have to take care of this mega beefed up Ultron.
Yeah, because it's kind of confusing because we've seen Tony Stark and die a few times within, these multiple pockets of the universe. So I wonder if some are connected and others aren't. So I really just don't know. We only have 2 more episodes left. So like I say,
I feel like they're definitely working towards a finale where we get a nice team up and storylines become tied together a little bit more than they are
for season 2.
Most of these episodes are left on like open-ended.
Yeah. Honestly, much like Star Wars Visions, a lot of those. I mean, it's a loose comparison because with What If they're canon, and sadly, Star Wars Visions is not canon. But there within Star Wars Visions, there's definitely a lot more loose ends that they could definitely dive into further, much like with What If. But with What If, I feel like they can kind of keep this going for a while, to be completely honest, for at least maybe like 3 to 4 seasons, something like that. Nothing too crazy, but it all depends on how deep they go into the multiverse, because if all this is canon and does this. How does this tie into, like, we know how it ties in, but how does this affect everything? Like, well,
there's a chance that Strange Supreme from What If is the Strange that we see in Spider-Man.
Oh,
he's acting weird.
He was acting a little weird. I mean, I understand him and Spider-Man are very chummy, but it's a bit. He's like, yeah, I'll help you.
There's definitely something going on there.
Mephisto, dude. If they bring back, if they introduce. And I had to get off topic here really quick. If they introduce all 3 Spider-Man, Mephisto, and Matt Murdock in the same movie, and
the Sinister
Six,
that's just a bit too much.
It is. But hey, Civil War introduced Spider-Man and Black Panther in the same movie, and I thought they did that very, very well. And they obviously split off into Spider-Man and then Black Panther getting a resurgence with his fan base as well. But that would be crazy. But anyway, sorry. Back to the main topic at hand for What If episode 7. I do agree with you though, Devin. There isn't too much to talk about with this episode because it was kind of just like a make sure the house is cleaned up before mom gets home. Type
it always comes back to his respect and love for mom and his fear of mom.
His fear. Yeah, I think, who was it? Was it Captain Marvel that said he was like acting like a frat boy a little bit? So that was kind of fun. I was like, I see what you did there. But this is definitely more of like a teenage Thor. It seemed like, obviously he's been living for 1,000 years, but his maturity level is not there whatsoever. So I thought that was a very interesting dynamic. And
I just remembered in one of the teaser trailers for the remainder of the season, Thor mentioned zombies. So everything is definitely coming together.
Definitely. We see that the Marvel money shot with like Gamora with Thanos's blades and everything. And I think Black Panther is in there as well. And or it's either him or it's Killmonger as Black Panther, because he does get his way in episode 6. So that was Very, very interesting. But yeah, a very I really did enjoy this episode. I guess to give final thoughts here, because I feel like there isn't too much to dive into, unfortunately. But great fun episode. Just a lot of laughs. We finally kind of get to see the Captain Marvel versus Thor debate in a way. But it kind of like who's more powerful Goku or Superman type situation, because Thor is like a literal god, but Captain Marvel is packing a punch. So if anything, I feel like it could possibly end in a draw, but I really hope we get to see more of Thor's powers kind of moving forward, whether it's in this else
moving forward.
There we go. I like it. Hopefully we get to see his power set more expanded, as well as Captain Marvel's, whether it be in this other worldly, for what if, or just moving forward in the MCU, instead of like, Thor's strong and he has lightning type thing. I want to see more of that. But any last remaining thoughts before we head on out of here?
I think we covered most of it.
It's not much.
It's good. It's good and bad that it's such a straightforward story. It was just a fun ride. Definitely not a lot to dive into, but it's kind of the fun part.
Yeah, just the back and forth between Captain Marvel and Thor was really, really funny, and Darcy doing her thing, always doing her thing, and kind of just having the otherworldly space characters come down to Midgard to just
I like how they all just hang out with each other.
Yeah, there's no real.
If you're in space, you are friends.
Yeah, pretty much, and it seems that everybody knows everybody up there, and we really do get that. Oof, man, when. At first, I knew it was Ultron, and I saw this Infinity Stones. Then he opens it up. I was like,
then you see Vision.
I was like,
there's a lot going on there.
Who we haven't seen? Who I would like to see a Scarlet Witch episode. I really would.
She's a zombie.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was from that was. I think that was.
She's the mega zombie.
I think that was the best episode we've gotten so far. Definitely,
yeah, it's up there.
Yeah, for sure. But so let's get into our ratings really quick, and I guess we'll just head on out of here. For me, for this one, I would give it, I would give it like a solid, like 3.5, 4 stars, just a really solid, like, I don't know, like maybe like an 83. Like we said, it's a pretty straightforward story. Had a great time with it. Runtime is about 35 minutes, so it's not super, super long, but I feel like it's more on the longer side. But just a nice little breath of fresh air before we get that penultimate episode of Marvel's What If. And then, of course, the season finale, which is very, very sad. Yeah. It's coming up sad. There's a lot of shows ending, but there's a lot of new shows beginning, Devin. We have, What If ending soon. We have Ted Lasso, season 2's ending soon. But we have Scenes from a Marriage that started up. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Watch the first episode.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right where we're with you. I'm at like an 80. Mm-hmm. I think the ending would definitely give it a boost for the more straightforward story overall. But that ending definitely was a nice jolt of energy.
Yeah, it was a nice little twist. I mean, like they didn't really hint at it at all. It just happened like out of nowhere. So it's like
he's just like, hey,
yeah, he's like, squad up, roll up, Autobots, roll out. But that pretty much concludes our episode, our coverage here of What If episode 7. And, as always, thank you, Devin, for coming on the podcast. Everyone, thank you for listening out there. We try to just bring you guys some really fun thoughts to get you through the week, because honestly, we need it too. So, but what is coming up on the pod, Devin, you ask? I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to pretend that you did anyway. We have our Midnight Mass review of the limited series.
Going to church.
We're going to church, y'all. We're going to church at midnight. We're going to have some fun. Going to be praising about Jesus and, serving the Lord. And, the Lord works in mysterious ways. So we're going to be going to Mass, Devin. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be dropping on September 24th, the Friday that it drops out. Of course, we'll be giving our initial reactions first and then diving into spoilers later on. And we have our Dear Evan Hansen review that will be dropping on Monday, September 27th. That will be with our friend of the show, Jacob Thornberry, over at musiccitydriving.com. Definitely check out the website. They have a lot of great stuff over there, sports, movies, music, video games, TV shows, of course, and movies as well. And we also have our Venom review that's going to be dropping on October 4th. October is going to be a busy month. A lot of stuff's coming out, but it's also spooky season, Devin, or I guess you can call it spooky season, but it's the first day of fall. So we have that first day of fall is here. You got anything that's up on the docket you're going to be watching that's fall related, or just, I guess, spooky season? That's what people are calling it. So anything at all? You're just going to be.
Yeah, we got a lot of horror coming up in October.
Yeah. I mean, Midnight Mass is honestly the big kickoff. Depending on how Venom 2 does, that might be horror. Depending on what.
Nah.
I'm kidding. But Midnight Mass is definitely going to be kicking off our spooky season here on the show. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And also make sure to visit Music City Drive-In to check out a few of my articles that I did, like I said, for Doom Patrol Season 3 for the first 5 episodes. No spoilers, of course. And you can also read my initial thoughts about Star Wars Visions and listen to our more in-depth thoughts about Star Wars Visions here on the podcast. We did an episode with that in the Emmy Awards as well. So that's a lot of fun. And also I have my written review of Dear Evan Hansen will be up on the InSessionFilm.com, InSession Film website at InSessionFilm.com. I believe it's going to be dropping on Friday, the day that it comes out. So there's also that. So if you're more of a reader, definitely read it over there. But also make sure to check out our podcast review here of Dear Evan Hansen. Like I said, Jacob's going to be joining us for that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So that pretty much wraps it up for today. So let's get on out of here, and we hope you guys have a good weekend. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Twitter so you stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.